Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal 144 based on novel. So let's start. Grey-robed all-seer. Interesting. Wang Lin revealed a gloomy smile. He had his divine sense locked onto Du Jian since earlier, and it didn't seem like he was lying. Master, you sure have a lot of secrets. Wang Lin's eyes became cold. Too many secrets to make this disciple calm. It looks like I can't stay at planet Tianyun anymore. If I was still there, I probably would have been devoured the moment I found out about Master's secret. Wang Lin took a deep breath. He made up his mind to quickly leave planet Tianyun. After leaving this demon spirit land, I'll merge with the original body and leave. The water in planet Tianyun is too deep for me. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he looked around and let out a sigh. I'm still not sure if I can even leave this place. After Du Jian told Wang Lin his biggest secret, he had been cautiously looking at Wang Lin. He could see Wang Lin's expression changing slightly. He was clearly thinking about what he just said. Du Jian let out a breath of air. What he was most afraid of was that Wang Lin wouldn't believe him. After all, something like that was simply too strange. He looked at the crack and was confused. Where exactly is this? Du Jian looked at the opening of the crack, and his eyes revealed a lingering trace of fear. That feeling of his origin soul being sucked out of his body was something he would never forget. He looked at the 7 treasured swords floating in the air. Wang Lin's origin energy surrounded the swords and lightning linked the swords together. This must be Wang Lin's secret cave. This person is ruthless, so I can't stay here, but unfortunately my cultivation isn't enough. If I could reach the ascendant stage. Du Jian was already half a step into the ascendant stage, however, he wasn't willing to take the last step and face the life and death trial. However, under this danger, he clenched his teeth. Although his origin soul was sealed, he was confident he could break free by borrowing the energy from the ascendant breakthrough. Achieving ascendant means a chance of living, but failing means death. Instead of waiting here for my death, let's try this gamble. Du Jian's eyes were filled with determination. This kind of determination was extremely rare for him. However, just as he was preparing himself, Wang Lin's icy gaze fell on him. It was like pouring a jug of cold water down on his head, immediately causing his determination to collapse. Wang Lin waved his right hand and the 7 swords floating in the sky flew into his hand. He put them into his bag of holding. Wang Lin, Du Jian's pupil shrank. Wang Lin calmly said, I'll give you one chance to reach the ascendant stage. If you are successful, I'll grant you a fortune. Du Jian pondered. He didn't ask what kind of fortune. At this moment, he was clear in his heart that this Wang Lin wouldn't let him go. After a long time, he looked at Wang Lin and said, a gentleman keeps his word. Wang Lin silently nodded. Du Jian suddenly closed his eyes. Wang Lin's cultivation level was much higher than his and he could easily kill him, so there was no need for troublesome things like this. Although he was still confused, he was at the moment of life and death, so he really didn't have time to think. I'll gamble once. Du Jian took a deep breath as he felt his already complete domain and took the last step. A heavenly origin soul gradually came from Du Jian's body. This energy became stronger and stronger and easily wiped out Wang Lin's seal on Du Jian's origin soul. Wang Lin's eyes were bright as he stared at Du Jian and pondered. The reason why he let Du Jian reach the ascendant was to increase the success rate of making him a celestial guard. Wang Lin didn't forget the description of the celestial guard from the jade. In fact, from the moment he caught Du Jian, he had decided to refine this person into a low-quality celestial guard. Even though the success rate was too low, if he succeed, he would produce someone similar to a peak late-stage ascendant cultivator with one step into the yin and yang stage. This was extremely tempting for Wang Lin. The jade also introduced some spells that could only be used by celestial guards. When used, those spells were extremely astonishing. If this Du Jian hadn't provoked him, it would have been fine. Wang Lin would not have seized him to refine him into a celestial guard. However, this person revealed his killing intent toward Wang Lin, so there was no way Wang Lin would let him go. If you fail and die on the path of Tao, It can be considered a fitting death for a cultivator. If you succeed, then I'll give you a big fortune. As for whether it is successful or not will all depend on your luck. Du Jian's cultivation followed the will of the heavens, unlike Wang Lin, who revolted against the heavens. Time gradually passed and the heavenly origin energy inside his body became stronger and stronger. Soon, his origin soul flew out and began fusing with the heavenly origin energy. Time passed. Over 1 hour had passed, and there was still no abnormality in Du Jian's origin soul. This caused Wang Lin's eyes to light up. The fusion of Du Jian's origin soul lasted for 3 days. Finally, at the moment when all the heavenly origin energy was about to be fused with Du Jian's origin soul, something happened. There was a small tremor that immediately ignited the origin flames. The sudden appearance of the flame looked like it wanted to burn the entire origin soul. Du Jian revealed a painful struggle and Wang Lin frowned. Seeing that Du Jian's origin soul was about to be burnt to ashes, Wang Lin stepped forth. He stuck his hand directly into Du Jian's origin soul. At the moment his right reached in, the origin flame seemed to have found an opening. It rushed into Wang Lin's body through his right hand and charged directly toward his origin soul. In an instant, Wang Lin's origin soul was surrounded by the origin flame. However, not only was his origin soul not burnt, his origin soul actually gave off a very comfortable feeling. As Wang Lin's origin soul moved, a large amount of lightning came from within. The lightning moved within the fire, creating a scene of fire and lightning. At the same time, Wang Lin's origin soul sucked in all the fire and lightning, causing them to disappear. A suction force even appeared in Wang Lin's right hand, and a large amount of origin flame from Du Jian's body was sucked into Wang Lin. After Du Jian's origin soul was no longer in danger of being burned, Wang Lin immediately withdrew his right hand. He took a few steps back and began to control his origin soul to absorb the origin flame. Du Jian's origin soul looked weakened as it slowly completed the final fusion with the small amount of origin energy left. He had lost too much origin energy, so even if he succeed and reach the ascendant stage, he would be forever stuck there. The only way for him to advance would be to have a fortunate encounter to recover that last bit of origin energy. Time flew by and more than 10 days passed. Du Jian's origin soul and origin energy completely fused into one. His origin soul gradually integrated back into his body and the aura of an ascendant cultivator suddenly appeared. He opened his eyes, revealing an extremely complex gaze. He knew that he had failed at the moment of reaching the ascendant stage and that it was Wang Lin who had saved him. At this moment, a large amount of thoughts flooded his mind. After a long time, Du Jian let out a sigh. Although he had reached the ascendant stage, he was the weakest kind of ascendant cultivator and was powerless against Wang Lin. What kind of fortune were you going to give me? At this moment, Du Jian's feelings toward Wang Lin were very complex. There was both hatred and gratitude, but even more there was regret and fear. Wang Lin's tone was calm as he slowly said, "Refine the body and transform the origin soul through a secret ritual. This will allow you to have the opportunity to reach the late stage of ascendant with half a step into yin and yang stage." Du Jian's heart jumped and he bitterly asked, "For this ritual to be so heaven-defying, that means the failure rate is extremely high." "Forget it. I just want to ask one thing. Can I retain my consciousness?" Wang Lin's eyes were meaningful as he said, "If you are still alive after 1,000 years, I'll grant you freedom." There was an important condition for refining a celestial guard. If there was even the slightest resistance from the person, then the process would immediately fail. Celestial Emperor Qin Lin had many celestial guards. However, all the people he selected to refine were people who were extremely loyal to him. This was what they exchanged for a powerful cultivation, so he never had to worry about this. At this moment, Wang Lin was using the same method the Celestial Emperor used. Du Jian clenched his teeth as he looked at Wang Lin and nodded. He knew that his fate was already set. If he resisted or disagreed, he would immediately die. He could only gamble once more that the ritual would be successful, and to gamble that he could survive for 1,000 years. He had no choice. If he didn't want to die, this was the only way. Wang Lin no longer wasted time. His hand formed a seal and he began to operate the ritual. In an instant, an imprint filled with celestial spiritual energy appeared. Wang Lin pressed the imprint between Du Jian's eyebrows. Du Jian's body trembled as he closed his eyes and became motionless. Wang Lin's eyes became serious. The process for making a celestial guard was extremely complex. He couldn't make even a single mistake or else it would fail. Even if he didn't make a mistake, the success rate was still not high. However, Wang Lin had no other choice, so he had to risk it. The reason he was so keen on refining a celestial guard was because the celestial guard might know spells that could give him the chance to leave this place. If it fails, I can only use Yarrow Shishue to try again. Wang Lin spat out a mouthful of origin energy that turned into countless symbols and landed on Du Jian. The first step of creating a celestial guard was to refine the body. Refining the body to the point that it couldn't be harmed by normal magical treasures. When Wang Lin saw this step, he thought of the ancient gods. The second step was to transform the origin soul, to open up the origin soul and grind it into pieces. Then he would greatly expand the origin soul at any cost before putting it back into the body. The body would be without an origin soul, but the soul would be in the body. The third step was to refine the body's organs. Wither away all the organs inside the body so they are no longer being nourished by celestial spiritual energy. This isolates the body from the five senses and it will no longer feel pain. The last step is to wipe out their divine sense but maintain their intelligence. This makes the celestial guard have no emotion, but they will still think. They have a powerful body, no emotions, and no sense of pain. They are a puppet that won't frown even if their head is cut off. This is a celestial guard. A human magical treasure that Celestial Emperor Qin Lin made that imitates the ancient god. The refining continued. Several months later, inside the crack, Wang Lin took a deep breath and sucked in all the origin energy into his body. It was as if he had just devoured a cloud. After the origin energy disappeared, a lean body appeared before Wang Lin. This figure gave off a cold aura that began to spread. This figure was extremely pale, as if there was no blood in his body. That was indeed the case as all the blood had been fused into his bones. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy and he let out a sigh. Failed again. It had been a few months since the first step of body refining had started, and Wang Lin had failed many times. Fortunately, the Jade recorded that during the first time, no matter how much he fails, the person being refined won't disappear. Looking at the puppet before him, Wang Lin frowned. According to the Jade, a variety of materials needed to be added during the refining process. Only after all the materials had fused with the body would the first step be complete. Of the 4 ranks of gold, silver, copper, and iron celestial guard, this is not even an iron rank celestial guard. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and a large amount of low-quality magical treasures flew out. There were treasures that Wang Lin no longer used but seemed very regrettable to just throw away. I don't have any materials, but I have a lot of treasures. I believe that melting these treasures down and fusing them with the puppet will have some effect. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he immediately formed a seal. A flame appeared and surrounded these treasures. The flame burned and several of these magical treasures began to melt. Finally, almost all of the magical treasures melted, forming a black ball. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin's divine sense went into his bag and he searched around. Some more magical treasures immediately flew out and entered the ball. This could be considered a big cleaning for Wang Lin's bag of holding. A lot of treasures had gathered inside Wang Lin's bag of holding in more than 800 years. Many of those he had only used a few times and never used again. After all, as his cultivation level increased, a lot of the treasures lost their usefulness. All of these treasures flew out and were thrown into the ball by Wang Lin. At this moment, a blue rose suddenly appeared in Wang Lin's hand. Looking at the rose, a fiery red figure seemed to have appeared before Wang Lin. He hesitated before putting the rose away and throwing another treasure into the ball instead. This process lasted for several days. The cleanup of his bag of holding caused a large amount of low, medium, and even high-quality magical treasures to be refined into liquid. As a result, the ball of liquid before him became colorful and bright. Wang Lin's right hand grabbed the ball and threw it at the puppet. Another round of refining began. Time passed by in the blink of an eye and 2 months passed. On this day the puppet gave off a yellow light that lit up the inside of the crack. Wang Lin opened his eyes and revealed a trace of fatigue. He looked at the yellow light from the puppet and revealed a hint of disappointment. Strength of copper rank. Forget it, it should be barely usable. Although the first step of the Celestial Guard was complete, if the second step of grinding the origin soul fails, then everything immediately fails. After it fails, this body can't be possessed, so he won't be able to try to refine another origin soul. Wang Lin took a deep breath and revealed a rare look of hesitation. He looked outside the crack. During the past 6 months, the suction outside never stopped, and it looked like it was getting stronger. Wang Lin clenched his teeth. He slapped his bag of holding and the soul flag flew out. A giant skull immediately appeared on the flag. This skull was illusory and was floating inside the flag. It was greenish-black and had no hair, as if it was the devil. Its eyes that looked unreal but also real, giving off a cold gaze. He was inside the soul flag staring at Wang Lin and letting out low growls. Most of the soul fragments inside the soul flag stayed away from this skull as if they didn't want to get close. This allowed the skull to have its own territory inside the soul flag. Only the Chileen was different. After devouring a lot of the celestial feed, it went through a series of changes. When it saw the skull roar, it suddenly began to roar as well. The Scully suddenly looked at the Chileen. Both stared at each other without flinching as they roared at each other with malicious intent. This skull was the Heavenly Ghost. Wang Lin's eyes were bright as he looked at the Heavenly Ghost. He raised his hand and immediately grabbed the Heavenly Ghost. The Heavenly Ghost was a fierce creature. If it wasn't for the fact that Wang Lin captured it while it was weakened, it would not have been easy. The Heavenly Ghost let out a roar in Wang Lin's hand. It opened its mouth and wanted to devour Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes became cold and he let out a cold snort as he activated the imprint inside the Heavenly Ghost. This immediately caused the Heavenly Ghost to almost dissipate. The Heavenly Ghost had to retreat as it stared at Wang Lin and continued to let out low roars. The puppet's body isn't strong enough, so it will be very difficult for the origin soul to survive the second step. However, if I to take the ferocity and spirit body from the Heavenly Ghost but still fail, then I'll just not refine a celestial guard anymore. Wang Lin was decisive as he pressed the Heavenly Ghost in between the eyebrows of the puppet. Since I'm going refine a treasure, then I want a top-quality treasure. If it is only late-stage ascendant, it won't be worth of all my treasures and this Heavenly Ghost. Wang Lin's eyes became cold and his left hand formed a seal. He touched the spot between his eyebrows and pulled out a strand of lightning. This lightning contained fire and he threw it into the puppet's body. Refine. The Heavenly Ghost was extremely vicious and was unwilling to be sealed inside the puppet to help Wang Lin refine. It let out roars and was about to charge out when a whip appeared in Wang Lin's right hand and he whipped at the ghost. With a snap, the Heavenly Ghost let out a miserable scream. It felt very bitter, as that whip was its natural enemy. If it wasn't for the fact that he had already left a deep imprinted on the scatter demon to use as his second origin soul, he would have thrown it into the puppet as well. However, using the scatter demon soul was difficult, so it was less troublesome to use the Heavenly Ghost. Several months flew by. Under Wang Lin's constant refinement, the Heavenly Ghost and Du Jian's origin soul fused and devoured each other before being grinded into pieces. However, the Heavenly Ghost was very strong. Even when it was in pieces, the pieces were still connected. This was the critical requirement for the second step. Almost all the failures had occurred at this moment. It wasn't that the origin soul wasn't strong enough, it was that the pain of having one's origin soul torn apart was not something ordinary people could endure. Once the origin soul relaxed, it would die. Even if they didn't relax, most don't reach the state where the origin soul was still connected after being torn to pieces. Only those with powerful minds could withstand this process. This was comparable to those who revolted against the heaven. This was why those cultivators who had found their own Tao had a higher success rate of being refined into celestial guards. Using more than half a year, Wang Lin refined his first celestial puppet. Although the success rate was very low, with the addition of the Heavenly Ghost, the success of the origin soul refining was no longer relying on luck. Even for Wang Lin, unless he used the Scatter Demon's soul, he wouldn't be able to refine a second celestial guard. Wang Lin revealed a glimmer of excitement. He took deep breath and mentally calmed himself. He looked at the skinny puppet giving off a yellow light before him. He could feel a connection that would let him control it as he wished. Celestial Emperor Qin Lin would naturally not allow any celestial guard to rebel. During the refining process, countless methods to control the puppets were placed. Wang Lin had been refining it with his origin energy for a long time, so his control over the puppet had already reached its peak. Although the heavenly ghost was unruly, it had been sealed during the refining process and fused with the puppet. Wang Lin squeezed out a drop of blood and flicked it at the puppet. The blood landed between the puppet's eyebrows and fused with the puppet. Then the puppet's eyes suddenly opened. This was a pair of empty eyes. Although this was the case, there was a trace of intelligence inside. The stage of yin and yang. Wang Lin's divine sense immediately swept over the puppet. It had an aura similar to Sichu Nan. Although it was not as strong as Sichu Nan, it was not that much weaker. Wang Lin let out a laugh and admired Celestial Emperor Qin Lin greatly. This person was very intelligent to create this method for creating puppets. Although because the Celestial Guard's origin soul had fused with its body, it couldn't use a lot of spells and couldn't match a real yin and yang cultivator. However, there were several spells prepared specially for Celestial Guard. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. In addition, I have prepared a gift for this Celestial Guard. Wang Lin's right hand touched the spot between his eyebrows and a large amount of grey gas came out. 1,000,000 strands of slaughter energy instantly entered the puppet. The puppet's eyes suddenly gave off the path of slaughter. After flashing a few times, it was gradually hidden, but its eyes became even more fierce. After doing all of this, Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and the jade flew out. He pressed the jade between the puppet's eyebrows. There was a burst of light and countless symbols seemed to flash across the Celestial Guard's eyes. After a long time, the jade fell and returned back to Wang Lin. Wang Lin calmly said, "Conceal." The Celestial Guard's body flickered, then it suddenly turned into nothing and moved behind Wang Lin. There was no light, so naturally there was no shadow as well. However, Wang Lin knew that the Celestial Guard was hiding in his shadow. There is a 60% chance of leaving here with the Celestial Guard's abilities. Although this place is a dangerous spot, because it is a dangerous spot, it is also safe. Wang Lin began to ponder. Shortly after, he slapped his bag of holding and a large sword flew out. This sword was as big as a door sign. "Wealth, my first sword. What secrets do you have?" Wang Lin slowly rubbed the sword. He calmed his heart and his mind slowly entered it. It was pitch black outside, and the roar of wind could be heard from inside the crack. The crack seemed like it was a world of its own, and the roar from outside was the only sound in the world. The endless suction force came from the pit as if it wanted to devour everything. Wang Lin sat in the lotus position inside the crack, looking out into the darkness. He seemed to have fused with the darkness. All that was left was the occasional lightning that flashed across his eyes that light up the crack. Being trapped here caused a sense of loneliness to gradually appear in his head. It was as if he was isolated from the world and forgotten by everyone. The only thing that accompanied him were his memories of his 800 years of cultivation. Lonely people always remember every single person that appeared in their life. Wang Lin's loneliness deepened as he recalled the past. It was as if he was hiding in a certain time, recalling the past or hiding in a secret location, thinking about someone he cared about. A mutter came from Wang Lin in the dark. "I wonder if anyone is cleaning father's and mother's tomb." A small, white ball was floating before Wang Lin. The light from the ball was very weak, so weak that it couldn't light anything up in this darkness. However, there was a warmth coming from the white ball. The warmth moved through Wang Lin's eyes and into his heart. Like a soft whisper, it gently filled Wang Lin's loneliness. There was always a faint figure inside the small ball that silently accompanied Wang Lin. Together they withstood the darkness and the howling. Even if the sky and heaven and earth shattered, the sea dried up, or the rocks decayed, that figure would always be there for Wang Lin through the ages. Even in reincarnation it would accompany him. The inside of the crack was still cold, It was as if all the warmth inside had been sucked away through the opening of the crack. However, with the existence of the white ball, the warmth in Wang Lin's heart filled his body and seemed eternal. Wang Lin, who had fused with the darkness, raised his hand and the white ball slowly landed in his palm. The white ball flickered and gave off a gentle light. This made Wang Lin experience the long-lost feeling of happiness. Everyone's happiness is different. My happiness is to accompany my parents, to accompany WNR. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with bitterness. That happiness was so extravagant and difficult. No one knew that deep within the demon spirit land, inside this bottomless pit, there was a man struggling against fate and the loneliness in his heart. Wang Lin had sat inside this crack for 3 years. It wasn't that he didn't want to leave, but during these 3 years, the suction force outside reached an unimaginable degree. More than 2 years ago, when Wang Lin was examining wealth, the suction from the pit suddenly increased violently. Now more than half of the crack was affected by the suction force. The Celestial Guard spell originally gave him 60% chance of leaving, but with the sudden increase in suction force, it immediately went down to 20%. Wang Lin didn't lose hope but calmly waited the next 2 years. After his cultivation reached the ascendant stage, his progression slowed down. After all, the ascendant stage was the peak of the first step. Even with how vast the cosmos was, how many people had reached the peak of the first step? Aside from those people favored by the heavens, who didn't spend countless years to reach this peak? Wang Lin's talent was very ordinary. If it wasn't for his determination and some special experiences, it would have been very difficult for him to reach this point. Mid-stage ascendant, late-stage ascendant, and peak late-stage ascendant were 3 chokes that blocked countless cultivators and depleted countless people's lives. They were 3 mountains that blocked Wang Lin's path. In these 2 years, Wang Lin used a calm heart to slowly comprehend what was inside wealth. There was only one sword tactic inside wealth, just one: heaven chop. One day after the 2 years, Wang Lin withdrew his divine sense from wealth. Wealth completely disappeared as if it had completed its lifetime goal of passing on its inheritance and returned to where it came from. The only thing that remained in Wang Lin's heart was the shocking sentiment that he had comprehended for 2 years. After that, what waited Wang Lin was endless loneliness and silence. He spent every day sitting in the lotus position and looking quietly at the darkness outside. The sound from the suction roared in his ears while he looked at the darkness and sat there motionlessly. A soft sigh came from Wang Lin's bag of holding. His bag of holding opened on its own and a scroll floated out. The scroll opened up in the air. The figure of a woman slowly appeared inside the scroll. Wang Lin didn't look at the scroll. There wasn't even a trace of surprise on his face. There was endless calmness on his face. The moment before the scroll appeared, he closed his palm and the small, white ball entered his body. Go down. He couldn't see the front side of the woman, but her voice slowly spread. Her voice was like mist as it echoed in the crack. Wang Lin didn't speak. His finger formed a sword and swung down. This action was very simple, but Wang Lin's body was in a mysterious mental state. After that simple swing, the scroll immediately closed and no more sound came from inside it. Wang Lin withdrew his finger. After looking at the scroll, he grabbed it and threw it into his bag of holding. During these 3 years, the woman inside the scroll had appeared a total of 4 times. Every time she appeared, she gave off this vague call. Wang Lin wasn't curious about what was at the bottom of the pit. His calm never disappeared. He didn't even check the mysterious transfer array below him a second time. Before he had enough strength, curiosity was the deadliest thing that could obliterate all existence. Wang Lin was waiting for the day when the suction force outside the crack weakened. There was no rule to the suction in this pit. If the suction could suddenly increase 2 years ago, then it could also suddenly decrease in a few years. He just needed to wait. Croaking sounds appeared next to Wang Lin. He lowered his head and his eyes lit up. Beside him was a palm-sized blue toad. This was the thunder toad. 1 year ago, the thunder toad awakened, so its body was now this size. The thunder toad was able to feel the change in Wang Lin the most. After it awakened, it refused to go back into the bag of holding and just stayed next to Wang Lin. Wang Lin suddenly shot out a bolt of lightning from his finger toward the Thunder Toad. The Thunder Toad opened its eyes and its tongue suddenly extended forth and pulled the lightning into its mouth. A rumbling sound came from the toad's belly and it revealed a comfortable expression. Wang Lin closed his eyes and immersed himself in his Tao. There were two parts to his Tao. The first was the underworld river, and the second was forming the soul of the underworld river. However, the so-called soul of the underworld river was merely just millions of soul fragments from the soul flag condensed together. It was still missing killing intent. Although the heavenly ghost had the viciousness, it wasn't enough for it to become the soul for Wang Lin's underworld river. This was because it was only vicious but lacked killing intent. A true soul for the underworld river is not the powerful kind. Most often it is the simple and weak souls that contain the most amount of ferocity and killing intent. Wang Lin pondered. If I can leave this place, I'll need to pay a visit to the mortal world to extract ferocity and killing intent to refine my own soul for my underworld river. Wang Lin opened his eyes. He looked outside the crack and slowly stretched out his right hand. His fingertips slowly reached toward the dividing line inside the crack. Although this dividing line was still within the cave, the moment his fingertips went past the line, he could feel the pain of his body being pulled. Ripples began to appear on his skin, and even his nails felt like they were being pulled off. I have been trapped here, but this gave me a chance to comprehend the power of the heavens and earth, a chance to reach the third step in my Tao. Although Wang Lin's eyes were calm, there was a hint of coldness in them. But before this, I must completely eliminate the issue in my body. Wang Lin withdrew his hand. This hand was completely numb and he had lost feeling in it completely. To be safe, he had stored all of the celestial slaughter art inside the puppet. The celestial slaughter art was a very important spell for Wang Lin. He only gave it up after struggling with the decision for a long time. Before, when he was cultivating the celestial slaughter art, Wang Lin gained the heart of slaughter. At the start, the heart of slaughter didn't change even when Wang Lin gave all the slaughter energy to the puppet. However, after 3 years, which was several months ago, Wang Lin felt that the heart of slaughter had changed. This kind of change would make Wang Lin go crazy, like when he absorbed all those celestial ascension fruits. 1. The fruit Wang Lin ate that made him go crazy. It would even give him the urge to immediately take back all the slaughter energy. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, then he revealed a decisive gaze and took a step. This step brought him past the dividing line. Powerful suction force suddenly tore at Wang Lin's body to drag him out of the crack. Wang Lin activated the celestial spiritual energy inside his body and slowly sat down. While resisting the suction force, he was slowly feeling the change of the suction force. There was a cold energy inside the suction force that entered his body. This chill wasn't strong and could be dispersed with celestial spiritual energy. After sitting there for a few days, Wang Lin took another step. This time he was at a position where the suction was even greater. All the blood in his body slowed down as if it was about to be pulled out of his body. Still not enough. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Countless mosquito beasts filled up the space next to the entrance to the bottomless pit. They didn't dare go too close, as the suction force was too powerful. If they got too close, they would be sucked into the pit. Among this herd of mosquitoes there was a mosquito beast giving off a violent, purple light. Wherever it flew, the other mosquitoes made way for it, and it could cause the other mosquitoes to tremble with just a cry. However, this purple mosquito beast had an anxious expression as it wandered around the entrance to the pit for 3 years. There were several instances where it wanted to go into the pit, but after looking at its companions, it stopped. Bursts of cries would come out from its mouth and echo around the area, like someone separated from their family calling out their family members' names. This video will end here.